Hey there, this is DIY Life Guide coming at you once again, and today I'm going to be explaining to you how I'm going to build wooden faux beams around these structural support posts here. And when I first originally fixed up the house, I just painted these white, but I've always thought in my head that it would look a lot nicer if I were able to surround this steel beam with the wooden exterior. This would look a lot nicer. Also, I have wood beams in the house, so I feel like this would match the wood beams in the house if I were able to have a same stain on these beams outside. I'm going to walk you through it step by step how I'm going to build these beams. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is you want to measure the width of the steel beam. So this one is 4 inches wide and it's about 7 foot 8 inches tall. I know I need to make a wood beam around this that's at least that wide, and I'm going to make it actually wider than that. I'm probably gonna have the wood beams be around 6 inches wide just because the wood beams in the house are 6 inches wide, so I want them to match. Another thing to check is to make sure that the beams are actually plumb up and down. Beams can come out of alignment over time, and this one I know for sure is out of alignment, so I know that I need to knock it a little bit more this way. I use a sludge hammer to knock it back into place. Also, at the bottom of these wood beams, I plan on building a concrete footer that's height of a 2x4, just because if the beam is wood itself, you don't want that to be in contact with the ground. You want to make sure that you have a little bit of elevation there. Also, the concrete footer will help the beam from not moving anymore. To build the cement footers that the beam is going to rest on, I need to make some forms. I just use scrap 2x4 wood. I have these scrap pieces right here, and then I screw them together. Just to give you an idea of what this looks like, these are the beams in the house, and this beam structure actually surrounds the framing of the house that holds up the beam up there. So here is one of the forms that I'm going to pour the cement into. Like I said, it's just 4 2x4s, and in there I actually put some steel wire just to add a little more rigidity to the cement when it dries. And I also added a little bit of wax. It'll be easier for me to pull the forms off of the cement. So now that I've poured the cement in here, I'm going to use this piece of wood to just scree it over, make it smooth and look nice. So now I am done pouring the concrete and screeing. I'll show you all 3 of the posts that I laid. Just need to take the forms off, and then I can start building the beams to put on top of the footers. So I'm going to cut the plywood into 6-inch strips to make boxes. And I've already cut a couple pieces, but one thing to remember is when you have it set at 45 degrees, circular saw, and make the cuts, and then obviously measure on the outside where you want to be visible to be your final product, because obviously if you cut it at 45 on the inside, it will be a shorter length. Load trace. I'm just going to double check it first. Alright, so now I have cut the strips of the faux beam that I'm making, and then I'm going to use, I got to sand it down, so I'm going to use this sander right here, and I'm going to smooth this out. Alright, so now that the concrete has set, it's time to take the forms off, and I'll probably have to do a little touch-up work with some cement as well, just to make things look smooth. Alright, so now the sanding for all 16 of these boards is complete. We have 2 45-degree angle sides on each side here, so now I just need to connect these into a box around the support posts. The boards that are going to make up the faux beams that are going to surround the support post, and they have a 45-degree angle cut on the ends here, which means when they come together they will make a 90-degree angle, and that should make a box all around. The first step is you want to use some glue, and you want to hit this edge here to make sure that when it is screwed in, that it will be glued tight. So connecting these boards can be a little tricky, but not too difficult. So you mostly just need to get this board on its side here, and then we know we want the screw to go in roughly right here on the top board. So we just put it in slightly just so it'll stick. It'll be easier to screw in once we stand it up. So, stood up. It's on the board now. Now we just got to slowly get it in place. And there it is, the first screw screwed in. So now we have the two pieces of wood screwed together to the point where I have a screw here, and a screw down there. So it's enough to sort of hold it in place while I can get other screws in place. This is a good time to adjust where you're going to screw the other screws to make sure that everything lines up on the edge. So here I have two of the sides of the box that I made, and the next step, that after I screw them in and I put glue, I want to use these clamps right here to put the box in a position for the glue to dry when the box is at 90 degrees exactly, because I want the box to seem square when put together. First step, hit the interior of each one of this box with the glue. That way there's some glue on the interior of this portion right here. So let me get started on that. And just hit it with a bead of glue right here. So here I have two of the sides of the faux beam that have been glued, and now they're screwed. But I want to make sure that the glue dries when it's at a 45-degree angle. And now I'm going to stack them together so they are relatively the same angle, and I'm going to use these clamps right here to make sure that they are square. Now right now you can tell from the square I have that it's not square. I need to push it in this way. So we're going to clamp this down and we're going to get it square. Right there, that's the first clamp, and now you can see that it's actually perfectly square. So we're going to let it dry at that angle. Alright, so now it's the next day, and I stack them like this, and this is how they dried. 90-degree angle. It's going to be one beam, these two parts, and this will be the other beam. These are the two pieces right here, this piece and this piece, and we're going to connect them onto this beam. First thing I need to do is use some glue and hit this edge right here. Installing the beam can be a little bit of an athletic feat, but with the help of a clamp, they line up with the clamp.
You can use this to hold it in place while you screw it down.
Once the beam is up, just keep screwing the screws into the corners until you get all the seams close enough. Alright, so now we have the beam together. It's got screws visible and there's cracks, but I'm going to fill that with painter's caulk, and then I'm going to screw these screws in deeper and then angle grind any remaining bits off. Here's the other two beams that I installed. 3 matching beams. For any stubborn screws that won't screw all the way in, use this angle grinder and you can grind them off. Now it's level with the rest of the beam, so it can be filled in wood glue. So now that the screws are angle grinded down, I'm going to start with a round of sanding just to smooth out these edges, make everything seem more square. So the plan is I'm going to sand it, and then I'm going to put painter's caulk on all of the imperfections, and then I'm going to sand it again, and it should look pretty smooth after that. Now that we've sanded it and we've angle grinded these down, we're ready to fill these cracks right here with painter's caulk. And you can use one of these spreaders right here as well to smooth it out and to make it look good. Once you have a bunch spread, you can use the spreader right here to smooth it out. So we've now made it to the part of the process where we get to stain the actual wood itself. It's going to take a couple coats to cover all of this and make it look good. So don't be afraid to keep applying coats until it looks dark. And there you go, look at that. Dark walnut. So now I have stained all of the beams. I'll walk you down the line here. I also added some trim pieces at the top, at the bottom, just to make things a little bit smoother, make it a little bit nicer looking at the top and bottom where beam connects to the house. See, I have stained the top and the bottom trim pieces. Now I just need to put a good sealer coat on it, couple coats against the rain and against the sun. I like to use a rag just because it's going to destroy pretty much anything that you use to apply this kind of stuff. Alright, so now it's a couple days later and the sealer has dried. I have multiple coats. Here's this one right here. And then here's the third one. Boom, boom.